You're already doing the thing that's keeping the belly fat there. You don't even know it's a thing. It's not your diet. It's not your effort. It's your hormonal signaling, and right now it's actively working against you. Stay for the second half. That's where this gets different from everything else you've watched on this. Here's what's actually happening while you're doing everything right. You're training. You're watching what you eat. You're doing the things you were told to do, and the belly fat is still there. Not because you're failing, because your hormones are running a completely different program underneath everything you're doing on the surface. 3 mechanisms, all of them invisible, all of them working against you right now. The first one is cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone. That's the simple version. The version that actually matters for belly fat is this: chronic low-grade stress, the kind that comes from bad sleep, long work days, under-eating, or grinding through 2-hour training sessions, keeps cortisol elevated around the clock. Not spiked, just quietly, persistently high. And when cortisol is elevated, your body gets a very specific instruction: store fat in the abdomen. Here's why that hits harder than it sounds. Belly fat cells have a significantly higher density of cortisol receptors than fat cells anywhere else on your body. Your midsection is literally wired to respond to stress by accumulating more fat. You didn't design that system. You inherited it. And every time life grinds on you, every bad night of sleep, every skipped meal, every overtraining session, your body is using that stress as a reason to hold on to exactly what you're trying to lose. That's not a motivation problem. That's biology running the wrong program. The second mechanism is insulin, and specifically what happens when it never fully drops. Every time you eat, insulin rises. That's normal. The problem is the pattern most people are living in without realizing it. Frequent eating windows, carb-heavy snacking between meals, something small here, something sweet there. What that creates is a state where insulin is elevated for most of your waking hours. And here's the thing nobody tells you clearly enough. When insulin is high, fat oxidation is completely switched off. Your body cannot burn stored fat while insulin is elevated. It's not slowed down. It's not reduced. It's off. Doesn't matter how hard you trained this morning, if your insulin has been elevated since breakfast, you have not burned belly fat today. The fix isn't about eating less. It's about giving insulin time to actually drop. That window between meals, uninterrupted, no snacking, is when fat burning can actually happen. You're not trying to starve yourself. You're trying to open the window. The third mechanism is ghrelin, and this one is tied directly to your sleep. Even 1 or 2 nights of poor sleep spikes ghrelin, your hunger hormone, significantly. At the same time, it tanks leptin, which is the signal that tells you you're full. And as you already know from the first mechanism, poor sleep also keeps cortisol elevated. So you get 3 hits at once. You're hungrier, you can't feel full, and your body is actively storing more fat in your abdomen. That's not a coincidence. That's a compounding system working against you. Think about the days you're most likely to blow your diet, the days you feel out of control around food. Almost always the day after bad sleep. That's not weakness. That's ghrelin doing exactly what it was designed to do. Blaming your willpower for that is like blaming your lungs for needing air. I can already hear it. Just eat less and move more. Sure. Except your hormones are overriding that instruction every single day, and no amount of motivation fixes a broken signal. That's what's happening inside. But there's a second layer, what you're doing every single day, that keeps these hormones locked in the wrong state. And this is the part most people never fix, because it doesn't look like a fitness problem at all. Which one of these 3 is hitting you hardest right now? The cortisol spiral, the insulin window, or the sleep-ghrelin combo? Drop your answer in the comments below. Because the next part is where we get into the daily habits that keep all 3 of these locked in the wrong state. The reason your belly fat isn't moving isn't what happens in your workout. It's what happens in the other 23 hours. You already know the three mechanisms that are working against you: cortisol, insulin, ghrelin. Now here's the part nobody covers: the daily behaviors that keep all three of them locked in the wrong state. And none of them look like fitness problems. That's exactly why most people never fix them. The first fix is a 10-minute walk after your largest meal. Not a workout, not a run, a walk. Here's why it matters more than the hour you spent in the gym. When you eat a large meal and then sit down, your blood glucose spikes, insulin surges to meet it, and your body starts making storage decisions. Fat oxidation shuts off. That window, right after eating, is when the hormonal damage happens. A 10-minute walk immediately after that meal blunts the insulin spike. Your muscles stay active, they keep pulling glucose out of your bloodstream, and you never give insulin the chance to climb high enough to flip the fat storage switch. You didn't need more discipline. You needed 10 minutes of movement at the right moment. That's the fix. The second fix is about how hard you're training, and the answer is going to frustrate you. If you're grinding through long, high-intensity sessions every day trying to force fat loss, you are spiking cortisol every single time. Remember what elevated cortisol does. It sends the direct instruction to store fat in your abdomen. You are literally using your workouts to reinforce the problem. The fix is Zone 2 cardio. Low intensity, conversational pace. The kind of effort where you could hold a full sentence without gasping. At that intensity, your body burns fat directly as fuel without triggering a cortisol stress response. Here's the self-test you can do right now. If you can't say a full sentence out loud while you're moving, you're above Zone 2. Slow down. That pace you just dismissed as too easy. That's the one that's actually burning belly fat. The brutal, punishing session that wrecks you for the rest of the day is the one keeping cortisol elevated for hours afterward. The third fix closes the loop on everything, and it starts 90 minutes before you go to sleep. You already know that poor sleep spikes ghrelin, tanks leptin, and keeps cortisol elevated. So improving sleep isn't a lifestyle bonus, it's a direct fat loss intervention. Adding even 45 to 60 minutes of quality sleep is more powerful for belly fat reduction than adding another workout session. But here's the specific cue most people miss. In the 90 minutes before bed, bright light and food both delay the cortisol drop your body needs to enter recovery mode. Bright light tells your brain it's still daytime. Food keeps insulin elevated. Both of them push back the hormonal reset that fat loss depends on. Dim your environment. Stop eating. Give your body the signal that the day is actually over. That's not a sleep tip. That's a hormonal intervention disguised as a bedtime routine. Remember, this isn't a willpower problem. Your hormones were running the show the entire time. Now you know how to change the signal. You were doing everything right on the surface and getting nowhere because the real levers were invisible. A 10-minute walk after your biggest meal to keep insulin from spiking. Zone 2, movement instead of cortisol spiking grind sessions. And 90 minutes of darkness and no food before bed to let your hormones actually reset. 3 fixes, all of them free. None of them require more effort than what you're already putting in. Just effort aimed at the right mechanisms. The belly fat was never the problem. The signal your body was receiving was the problem. Now you know what to send instead. Subscribe for more and watch the next video. It's the one fix most people never try.